December 9 marks 201 years from Ayacucho battle in Peru, which was led by General Antonio José de Sucre in 1824. This was the last battle of independence in South America, and after winning the patriot forces, Peru became finally independent, and the rest of South America could enjoy newly constituted republics. And also, in 1902, 123 years ago, a blockade initiated by Italy, England, and Germany was organized by European powers on the Caribbean against Venezuela, just as the United States is doing right now. President Cipriano Castro expressed that insolent strangers were profanating sacred Venezuelan soil. And even San José Gregorio Hernández, who was recently canonized, enrolled in Venezuelan troops. After long years of blockade, Venezuela was able to diplomatically solve the European blockade. Venezuelans are used to this history of Spain, England, Italy, Germany, United States, all of them treating us as a colony and interested in looting our natural resources. It's always been that way, and Venezuelans are ever more determined in cherishing our independence, sovereignty, and self-determination according to international law, and treating all nations with respect, unlike other nations that do not treat Venezuela with respect. Venezuelan military has produced videos showing their activities in Sarasa for training troops and at Catatumbo region by national agreements with Colombia, and in Zulia state, drug producing and trafficking locations and equipment were bombarded. And the drug traffickers were not killed. They were arrested with full compliance with their human rights. Unlike United States anti-narcotic operations in the Caribbean, which are barbaric and constitute war crimes. In that respect, Maria Zaharova, spokeswoman of Foreign Ministry of Russia, has expressed that the conflict between the United States and Venezuela threatens to destabilize the Western Hemisphere. Russia hopes that Washington will not choose this scenario. Certain passages in the United States National Security Strategy for Latin America are particularly alarming for Russia. We are entering a trilateral contradiction, because the United States National Security Strategy for Russia is acceptable to Russia. Actually, Russia is thrilled of restoring relationship with the United States, because during the Biden administration, there was no relationship between United States and Russia. And certainly Donald Trump and Putin get along a lot better than what was the case with Biden. And that was one of the reasons why many people around the world supported Donald Trump for his presidency, as Kamala Harris was not a guarantee of improving relations between the United States and Russia, which are definitely extremely important to avoid nuclear war. However, Venezuela comes in between, as United States pretends that Venezuela is part of an American-owned Western Hemisphere, according to the Trump corollary of the Monroe Doctrine. But Venezuela already has a strategic partnership with Russia and with Iran and with China, and Venezuela is not interested in ripping off our strategic partnerships with Russia, China, and Iran just for the sake of complying with Trump's corollary to Monroe Doctrine. That is just not going to happen. And of course, Russia, China, and Iran are thrilled to have a reliable ally in South America because Venezuela's alliance guarantees for Iran, for China, and for Russia that they are global powers rather than regional Asian powers. Therefore, Donald Trump and Nicolás Maduro will eventually have to talk and dialogue. Sergei Lavrov, Foreign Minister of Russia, has also expressed that the decay of the United States dollar system as the basis of global finances has been lost because the United States dollar has been used as a weapon. Russia and Venezuela know very well that sanctions or unilateral coercive measures proposed by the United States are an obstacle for our commercial dealings. Therefore, Russia and Venezuela are interested in accelerating our entrance into a new monetary system still in formation. Once Nicolás Maduro and Donald Trump speak, they might have to address topics of Caribbean security, commerce in both dollars and other currencies, and petroleum deals. Venezuela already has many commitments with countries different than the United States, and any opening in Venezuela provides to the United States cannot be at the expense of our prior commitments to Russia, China, and Iran. In order for a negotiation between Presidents Nicolás Maduro and Donald Trump to be successful, United States will have to surrender some of the problematic issues that are expressed in the November 2025 national security ambitions of the United States, because the Latin America and Caribbean section violates Venezuelan sovereignty, in particular, and sovereignty of several Latin American and Caribbean countries in general. It looks like Donald Trump will have to speak several times with both Putin and Maduro, because this triangulation is becoming ever more obvious. United States loves to speak to Putin. United States does not want to speak to Venezuela. However, Venezuela and Russia share almost identical economic and geopolitical interests. So speaking to one is almost like speaking to the other. And Donald Trump is also stressed out because he has to comply with a hawkish deadline proposing strikes against Venezuela on December 20th, 2025, exactly 10 days after this current date. Will the United States strike Venezuela on December 20th, a little before Christmas Eve? It remains to be seen. Venezuela's preparation looks fantastic. Venezuelan General Vladimir Padrino Lopez looks and acts as a more responsible military strategist than United States Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Yes, we know United States has superiority in ships and aircraft. However, there is also troop morale, there is also alliances, there is also strategy, there is also diplomacy. And in all those critical components of war, Venezuela seems on the verge of success. We have been avoiding war during 4 months, and during the next 10 days, Venezuelans will continue developing our deterrence strategy in such a way so that once December 20th, 10 days from now, occurs, there will be no United States strike. It has been reported that United States aircraft briefly crossed into Venezuelan airspace at the center of the Gulf of Venezuela between the peninsulas of Paraguaná and Guajira, on the maritime intersection of states of Zulia and Falcón. The aircraft made a series of maneuvers and again left Venezuelan airspace. This has been the same pattern we have seen all over the last few weeks and months. Brief incursions into our airspace or maritime waters to be quickly deterred. United States has been told many times that they are welcome to strike first. They come, they watch, and they leave, but they never strike. Let's see. Maybe 10 days from now they will strike, and Venezuelan military, militias, and population are certainly getting prepared to that possibility, as we remember very well that Iran and United States have dialogued, and then United States has chosen to strike anyways. President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, has congratulated President Nicolás Maduro on his birthday, which was a few weeks ago. We might recall that already Presidents Putin and Xi from Russia and China respectively had also congratulated President Maduro on his birthday, and now Masoud Pezeshkian from Iran has done same. The alliance between Iran, China, Russia, and Venezuela is very strong, and it looks like we have to remind that to the United States every single day, because they are trying to divide our alliance, and we won't. Venezuela is extremely happy to be a bridge of understanding of Western and Eastern cultures. Venezuela has transcended Western civilization. Venezuela is no longer interested in being confined to a Western civilization that has shown so many shortcomings. Deficiencies of Western civilization are noticeable, and Venezuela counts with alliances of the Eastern Hemisphere. And as we are in the Western Hemisphere, we are now enjoying the best of both worlds. The President Masoud Pezeshkian from Iran complains about hostile provocations from the United States into Venezuela and other Caribbean countries, which violate international law and make a dangerous precedent. President of Iran provides Venezuela full solidarity and full support, and our cooperation and strategic alliance between Iran and Venezuela will remain for at least 20 years. Coherence, strength, and strife will mean victory for Venezuela. Such is the reading of Iran of our geopolitical situation in December 2025. Today, December 10th, in Oslo, Norway, there will be an international conference to protest against the Nobel Institute of Norway. There will be a Melahusset roundtable. There will be a declaration of Norwegian peace movement, and the Venezuelan delegation will criticize 2025 Nobel Prize, and there will also be a rally at Henrik Ibsen. Scores of demonstrators gathered in Oslo ahead of Nobel War Prize. Protesters voiced concerns, questioning timing and political implications. Frustration was expressed over what is viewed as international interference in Venezuela's internal political landscape. Oslo protest conveys contradiction of warmongering as a camouflage for peace. Venezuela continues being harassed by American vessels and aircraft near our sovereign waters and airspace. Palestine support is welcome, as many Palestinian flags were seen in Oslo along with Venezuelan flags. We both resist invasion attempts from expansionist powers, such as United States or Israel. Extremist tourists into Norway include Wilmer Asuaje and Otto Baldó, among others, have been harassing Venezuelan peace activists such as Mauro Herrera, as they have been posting on social media that Oslo, Norway is only territory for supporters of Venezuela war. Peace movements who oppose war on the Caribbean are being excluded from activities encouraged by the Nobel Prize Committee. This whole situation is so contradictory that we will expect that protest activities will multiply today as Norwegians and Venezuelans are appalled on how a Nobel Peace Prize is being used for invoking war against Venezuela, especially after having heard the ultimatum from United States that strikes are dated to start on December 20th, 2025. We count on the international and Norwegian communities to voice strong opposition to war against Venezuela, which is the objective of this year's Nobel Prize. Organizers of Nobel Peace Prize are already suggesting that in future editions the prize should be moved out of Norway into a third neutral country. By the same token, United Nations should also be moved out of the United States. The home advantage has become obnoxious. For regime change operations that are not according to international law. Back to domestic Venezuela, we are thrilled to know that Joropo Dance has been named as UNESCO Humanity Asset. Cuba is also rejecting having been named as promoter of regime change in Venezuela, as many opportunistic media have written that Cuba will abandon Venezuela and discuss a possible scenario with the United States. Cuba is not an ally of the United States. Iran, China, Russia are not allies of the United States either. They are all allies of Venezuela. United States is trying to remove alliances away from Venezuela, but it will fail because we are bound together with Cuba, Iran, Russia, and China, and Venezuela. It would be likely that in Nicaragua they will try to do something similar, just as they are doing in Honduras. The situation in Honduras is horrific, and it sounds like no definite results will be accepted. Whatever is announced will be illegitimate. A political crisis is developing in Honduras. It is not clear if they can repeat elections, and most likely outcome would be that current President Cipriano Castro will remain in power until this whole electoral mess of Honduras is conclusively sorted out. President Maduro and Vice President Delcy Rodriguez have led an economic summit in Caracas, including the business sector, the banking sector, various vice presidents, and ministers, as well as chambers of commerce representing several cities. Conindustria claims we had a 5% growth on the third quarter of 2025. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez claims that there has been a 40% increase in electrical generation this year. Another claim is that agriculture has been in expansion during the last 5 years. That means 20 consecutive quarters of growth. And agricultural sector growth would be 5% this year, 2025. Gas is being exported to Colombian border towns from Venezuela, and consumption of rice, alcohol, coffee, and sugar have also risen. Statistics sound impressive. It sounds like there is more purchasing power for some areas of the population, but economic crisis persists. Macroeconomically, figures of growth sound great. There is no way to address if they are true or false. Independent verification would be useful. In my own case and the people I know, we are mostly suffering economic troubles. Perhaps economic growth will go downstream so that most of Venezuelan society experiences such economic growth, because there is inflation, there is a lot of food in the supermarket, but many families are having trouble for purchasing what is required for decent Christmas feasts. It is understandable that we have had sanctions and prior mismanagement, but we really need to continue the path of growth, and we really need to check if there is some over-reporting in some areas of the economy. Maybe same situation is happening in Venezuela as in the United States. Donald Trump insists that the American economy is the best it has ever been, but United States population complain that there is hardship on the streets. Exactly same situation is happening in Venezuela as well. Some people go to shopping malls and consume, but many other people are just struggling to get by. Conducting a business is difficult. There is a lot of red tape. President Maduro has recognized that as an issue. Let's hope simplification of paperwork occurs, because going to a registry and presenting accounting information of your company every year is expensive, time consuming, and there are not many public certified accountants available for the massive requirements of bureaucracy that are needed to comply with current law. Venezuela is clearly not declining anymore. We must concede that. The worst is over, and we should get back to a path of growth. Petrochemical, gas, and petroleum sector should still be the main driver of economic growth. Diversification is important, but main production of petroleum and rare earth, as long as we can develop downstream industries for petrochemicals and artificial intelligence labs that could use whatever rare earth is needed for such platforms. We need all those kinds of industries, and we are sure that China, Russia, and Iran have the technology for it. We should assume minimal relationship with the United States. Even if Presidents Trump and Maduro manage to dialogue, it will not be easy for them to agree on anything, and we should just feel relieved if we can just avert war during the next 3 years until a more progressive administration arrives to the United States. And even in the case of the Democratic Party, they are still very warmongers to other parts of the world. And Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, Iran, Russia, we have nothing to trust of the United States until they remove sanctions or unilateral coercive measures. And as we know, United States wishes to maintain sanctions as their way of living forever, and other countries just do not want to accept that anymore. International system must profoundly change, and that will be the goal of non-aligned nations during the next few decades, while averting or fighting World War III, which can be initiated at any time, possibly within the next 10 days, according to wishes of United States warmongers.